He was small, quiet, and often overlooked. But when he rode, he was poetry in motion. In a world of giants, Rossi, Stoner, Lorenzo, Marquez, Pedrosa stood barely 5 feet 2 inches. Yet he rode a 300-horsepower monster like it was nothing. He achieved 31 MotoGP victories and 112 MotoGP podiums.
Dani Pedrosa wins here in Brno from Jorge Lorenzo. What a battle!
One of the most successful riders never to win the Premier Class crown. He wasn't loud. He didn't play mind games. He just raced. And for over a decade, he fought against the very best. But there's one question that still echoes through MotoGP history. How could a rider this talented, this consistent, this fast, never become world champion? This is the story of Dani Pedrosa, the silent samurai. Born in Sabadell, Spain in 1985, Dani Pedrosa was a shy, small kid who loved two wheels. At just 4 years old, he started racing minibikes, too short even to touch the ground. His father had to hold the bike steady at every start. He didn't have the physique of a racer, but he had something far more powerful: control, precision, and courage. By 2001, he was racing in the 125cc World Championship. In 2003, he won 5 races and his first world title at just 18.
Dani Pedrosa, victorious and the new 125cc World Champion.
2004, he moved to 250cc and stunned everyone again. 7 wins, 13 podiums, youngest ever 250cc champion. He defended that title in 2005 with 8 victories and 11 podiums, 3 world titles in 3 years. Before turning 21, Honda had seen enough. The golden child was coming to MotoGP.
Pedrosa wins it in the last 2 corners, wins the race, and that is a fair victory for Dani Pedrosa.
Dani Pedrosa joined MotoGP in 2006 with the Repsol Honda team, the smallest rider in the field, on the most powerful bike in the world. In his rookie year, he took 2 wins, 5 podiums, and finished 5th overall. An incredible debut. But his size, once an advantage in smaller classes, became a curse. He stood 158 centimeters, 5 feet 2 inches, weighed 51 kilograms, 112 pounds, less than half of the Honda RC 213V. It helped with acceleration on straights, but hurt on corner exits and braking. Tires wouldn't heat properly, the bike bounced under load, and when he crashed, it hurt. His small frame couldn't absorb the impacts. When you're small, a 125 or 250cc motorbike fits well. But on a MotoGP machine, your weight becomes a massive disadvantage. Yet he was relentless, strong, fearless. That's why they called him the Samurai. From 2007 to 2011, every time he came close, something went wrong. In 2007, Honda introduced the 800cc RC 212V. Pedrosa won twice and finished 2nd overall.
Dani Pedrosa of 2007, his first victory in a year.
But Stoner's Bridgestone and Ducati was untouchable. 2008, he led the early rounds until a wet race crash at Sachsenring broke his hand.
Oh, down he goes! On board with Dani Pedrosa, what a moment! Crashes out in turn 1, he was just pushing. What a disappointment for Pedrosa.
Missing 4 races and his title hopes. In 2009, he was in pain after a test crash in Qatar injured his knee. Once healed, he won twice, but Honda's bike lacked balance while Rossi and Lorenzo dominated. 2010, he was spectacular. 4 wins, 8 podiums, until a high side in Japan broke his collarbone again. 3 missed rounds ended another title fight. In 2011, he began strong, winning at Estoril and Sachsenring.
Dani Pedrosa's going to win the race. What a ride by Dani Pedrosa.
Until a collision with Marco Simoncelli at Le Mans broke his collarbone yet again. He missed 3 races, returned for podiums, but the championship was gone. Year after year, Pedrosa was fast enough to win it all. But injuries, timing, and a fragile body kept taking it away. He wasn't reckless. He was precise. But MotoGP at 300 kilometers per hour doesn't care how precise you are. Still, Danny never complained. He simply returned, patched up, and went faster. And then came 2012, the year that could have changed everything. The 2012 season began quietly. Stoner was reigning champion, Lorenzo the favorite. Rossi lost on the Ducati, and Pedrosa, the quiet assassin, consistent, patient, waiting. The first half of the year was steady. Then, after the summer break, something clicked. He won at Sachsenring.
As Dani Pedrosa wins the German Grand Prix.
Then Indianapolis.
Dani Pedrosa wins his second race at Indianapolis.
Then Brno.
Dani Pedrosa wins here in Brno from Jorge Lorenzo. What a battle!
Each victory brought him closer to the championship lead. He was riding at his absolute peak. Every corner precision, every lap perfection. Then came Misano, a chaotic start. Carl Abraham's bike stalled on the grid, forcing a restart.
Carl Abraham has a problem again, and his bike's going to have to be taken off.
Pedrosa, on pole, lost his advantage. At the restart, he led early, then disaster. Hector Barbera clipped his rear wheel. Pedrosa crashed out.
The Pedrosa is out of the race here in Misano.
Devastating for the championship, devastating for Pedrosa.
0 points. Meanwhile, Lorenzo went on to win that race. After that heartbreak, Pedrosa bounced back stronger than ever. He won in Aragon, then Japan, then Malaysia. With just a few rounds left, the championship was still alive. Lorenzo had the advantage, but Pedrosa was closing fast. Every race felt like destiny tightening its grip. Then came Phillip Island, the race that sealed his fate. Pedrosa knew he had to win to keep the title fight alive. From the start, he launched perfectly, leading the opening laps with Lorenzo in third. But on lap 2, under heavy braking into turn 4, Pedrosa lost the front end and crashed. The dream was over in seconds.
Dani Pedrosa is down! Pedrosa has crashed out!
Lorenzo clinched the 2012 MotoGP World Championship. He finished the season just 18 points behind, after winning 7 races, more than anyone that year. He just needed fate to cooperate, because if Lorenzo hadn't saved that crash a week earlier in the pouring rain at Sepang, Pedrosa would have won the championship, since Lorenzo went on to crash in the final race at Valencia. It was his best season ever. 7 wins, 15 podiums. The performance of a world champion without the crown. That year proved one thing. When everything clicked, Dani Pedrosa was almost unbeatable. After 2012, Pedrosa's story became one of resilience. He continued to fight, but injuries returned. Broken collarbones, damaged nerves, surgeries that never fully healed. Yet every season, he still won. In 2013, Honda brought in a rookie, Marc Marquez. While Pedrosa stayed fast, Honda evolved the bike for Marc's aggressive, front-wheel heavy style. Over time, it hurt Pedrosa's performance. His smooth, flowing corner speed no longer matched the RC213V's behavior. The front became stiffer, the balance sharper. Perfect for Marc. Punishing for Dani. Still, he adapted. He fought back. He even beat Marquez head-to-head. But Honda's focus had shifted to their new superstar, and Pedrosa's quiet consistency faded from the spotlight. He remained the benchmark for smoothness and precision. He didn't need headlines. His riding spoke for him. By 2018, Pedrosa's body had endured more than a decade of punishment. He was 33, small, battered, but still elegant on the bike. He announced his retirement from full-time MotoGP at season's end.
Announced that next year I will not compete in the championship. This means that I will finish the career this season in MotoGP.
No drama, no anger, just gratitude. the entire paddock rose to applaud. Rossi, Lorenzo, Marquez, Dovizioso. He left with 31 MotoGP wins, 112 Premier Class podiums, and 3 world titles from the smaller classes. One of the greatest riders never to take the ultimate trophy. A record built through pain, precision, and pure determination. But his story didn't end there. He joined KTM as a test rider and quietly transformed the bike. He gave them stability, traction, and balance. Inside KTM, his feedback became the difference between testing and winning. By 2023, KTM had become a front-running factory, and when Pedrosa returned as a wildcard, fans saw something unreal. In the 5 years since retiring, he appeared in 2 race weekends, and both times finished inside the top 10. At Jerez, he even claimed a sprint race podium, proving his precision and speed hadn't faded one bit. 5 years after walking away from full-time racing, he was still fast enough to challenge the factory stars. The crowd went wild. The silent samurai was back, even if just for a moment. When a rider walks away without a world title, people usually ask what went wrong. But with Pedrosa, the better question is, who stood in his way? He raced through an era defined by giants. From 2006 to 2019, Valentino Rossi, Casey Stoner, Jorge Lorenzo, and Marc Marquez captured every Premier Class crown, except one. Each of them reshaped the sport in their own image. For Pedrosa, that meant spending his entire career surrounded by legends in their prime. A mountain of talent unlike anything MotoGP had seen before. It raises an intriguing question. What if the timing had been different? Would Mick Doohan have ruled the 1990s so completely if he'd been born a decade later? Or if Rossi, Lorenzo, and Marquez had arrived 10 years earlier, would history look the same? Doohan's 5 straight championships from 1994 to 1998 came against strong but less decorated opposition. Riders like Kevin Schwantz, whose career was cut short by injury, or Luca Cadalora, Daryl Beattie, Alex Crivellé, and a young Max Biaggi. Fast, yes, but not the tidal wave of talent Pedrosa faced every weekend. Pedrosa's challenge was unique. He battled 3 of the top 5 riders in history, simultaneously, in their absolute prime. His numbers alone don't tell the whole story. In a different era, with a fraction more luck or fewer injuries, he might well have been a multiple-time world champion. But that's the beauty and cruelty of racing. Sometimes greatness is measured not by what you win, but by who you fought. Championships give us neat numbers, wins, poles, points, but the truth behind them is messy. Pedrosa raced in a period where finishing second often meant defeating 20 of the fastest riders on Earth, only to trail one of the greatest ever. The difference between triumph and heartbreak could be a fractured collarbone or a rain-soaked lap in Sachsenring. Across eras, the comparisons blur. Could Pedrosa have dominated the mid-90s? Would he have reigned in the early 2000s? We'll never know. And maybe that uncertainty is what keeps his story alive. Because MotoGP isn't always fair. It's about moments. And if you miss your moment by even half a heartbeat, history doesn't wait. Yet Pedrosa's mark endures. He changed how riders approach precision, corner speed, and throttle control. He showed that quiet determination can outshine arrogance, that strength isn't measured in size, and that humility can ride faster than pride. When we speak of the greatest riders never to hold the MotoGP trophy, we don't dwell on what Dani Pedrosa failed to do. We remember what he almost achieved, racing shoulder to shoulder with the very best, defying the limits of physics and fate, again and again. Because not every legend needs to be loud. Some prove their greatness quietly, lap after lap, with pure heart and skill. This was the story of Dani Pedrosa, the Silent Samurai. If you love stories like this, hit subscribe, because more legends are coming.